then, welcome to Settle the Score. My name is Harry Durham. Arsenal, congratulations, you are Premier League champions. I had to get that in there early, but the game that we're focusing on today is Chelsea's big win over Spurs at Stamford Bridge. Tottenham are absolutely, well, they've been going through it all season, but going to the final day now, and hoping that Leeds get something over West Ham. I'll tell you what, ladies and gents, Sunday is going to be absolutely box office, and let's look back at all of the action last night and see where it went wrong for Tottenham and see where it went right for Chelsea. Joining me is Mark from the Chelsea Fancast and Chris from Spurs Chat. I mean, we have to start here. It was the evening, the time that a lot of us dreaded in the Premier League, and Arsenal have been confirmed as Premier League champions for the first time in 22 years. Chris Cowlin, with you being a Spurs fan, and Mark as well, with you being a Chelsea fan, one of your biggest rivals picking up their first title in over 20 years. Chris, we're going to come on to the game last night, but just your reaction to Arsenal.
There's no reaction, Harry. I'm here to talk about Tottenham.
Fair play. And that's exactly what I expected off the back of Arsenal winning the title. Mark, anything from you? Or do we just carefully segue past into last night's game? Have you got any comment on
No,
Arsenal?
I think the less we say about them winning the league, the better. They're going to be unbearable as it is talking about it themselves. So let them talk about it. We can talk about last night's game, Chris and I.
Do you know what? That's exactly the responses that I wanted to kick off this show, to be honest with you, because I didn't really want to talk about it that much anyway. But with it being the big story at the moment, I had to give it a mention. It hurts to do it, but I had to do it. Mark, I mean, Chelsea, there were periods of this season where it was looking like you were going to secure your place in the Champions League, but it's fallen away over the last couple of months. But, you know, picking up 3 points last night against one of your biggest rivals at Stamford Bridge. Spurs hate going to southwest London, even hate going to Fulham as well. Nice to get one over Spurs this late in the season, especially what they're going through as well.
No, couldn't agree more. There's a long-standing rivalry between Chelsea and Tottenham. It's not dictated by geography. It's just more historic. I wasn't born, but I haven't forgiven them for relegating us in 1910, never mind in 1975. So it's always an intense game between both sets of supporters. There's no love lost between them. It's a rivalry based on needle more than anything else. They've beaten us in cup finals. We've beaten them in cup finals. They've helped relegate us. And even if we've just taken it to the last day by last night's victory, we've created some jeopardy for both Spurs and West Ham on the last day.
Chris, watching it last night and obviously keeping on top of everything that was happening at the Vitality as well, so many missed opportunities for Spurs last night. We talked about the VAR incident towards the end as well. You were in the away end. What was your general feel? A massive, massive missed opportunity to not only pick up 1 point, but 3 points as well. I'm going to say this right now. Randall Kolo Muani absolutely stinks. And that's not the only player in this team that stinks and just needs to get out of that football club. How he was valued at the money that he was valued at and played in a World Cup final is beyond a joke, in my opinion.
I actually think, Harry, you've given my answer for me. The forward line simply isn't good enough, and this season hasn't been good enough. I can't wait, actually, until the season is done with. Yes, I hope we're a Premier League team and we somehow get over the line on Sunday. I think I've got more faith in Leeds doing something at West Ham than Spurs beating Everton on Sunday, because we haven't won there since December. But going back to the Chelsea game, this is a stadium where we absolutely hate going. We've won once there in 36 years, and it's just simply not good enough. But you talk week after week after week. How many times have I been on talking to you this season? And I think every single time I've been on, it's about a defeat. We're always talking about referees, officiating. Officiating has been really, really poor, which I know we'll talk about. But this is down to this playing group. It hasn't been good enough. So many poor decisions have been made at the football club. The players aren't good enough. The players haven't been up for so many matches. And this is exactly why we are in this relegation fight. Yes, it goes down to the final day of the season, but again, Spurs are in control. Fair play to Roberto De Zerbi, because had it not been for him coming in, galvanising this group and instilling confidence and belief in some of these matches, we wouldn't be in this position on the final day of the season. We would have been gone a long time ago. But, it just simply isn't good enough this season. It's been an absolute disaster. And yeah, as I said, I can't wait until it's over.
Mark, is there, apart from you, even though they're one of your biggest rivals, do you actually feel a bit sorry for Spurs and what they're going through? I know football, social media, we're saying that Chelsea are becoming the new Spurs and need to be careful next season, even with Xabi Alonso coming in, and we'll get onto that in just a little bit. But is there a part of you in your footballing blue heart of Chelsea that you feel a little bit sorry for Spurs?
No, I think the roles were reversed. I think Chris was sitting here, we're in the relegation spot, and Spurs had the opportunity to relegate us. I think they'd relish the opportunity. I think the only thing I would say, I don't think Spurs will go down. I think either Leeds will get a result, West Ham, or Spurs will do enough at the weekend. But as you said, I think we brought it to the actual last day. I think the only thing that if Spurs did get relegated is, and Chris has mentioned it, we've got such a good record over them, both at Stamford Bridge and also at White Hart Lane over the years. We've only done the double over 3 sides this season, and Spurs is now one of them. So if we missed anything, it's the potential for 6 points next season.
Chris, obviously we mentioned about officiating, you being in the way end last night as well. The VAR incident when Mickey van der Ven was brought down, obviously what they're saying is, and they gave a good breakdown off the back of full time, that the ball wasn't in play when the player was brought down. What do you make of that?
It was in play. It was in play. And if you're given a yellow card for a foul inside the penalty area, if this was another team, if this was Arsenal, they would have got a penalty. It's different rules for different teams, and it has been all season. And let me get this right. I'm not sitting here saying officials have ruined Tottenham's season, but it has ruined the Premier League this season. VAR, referees on the pitch, some of these decisions have been absolutely crazy. And I think that, officials have certainly favoured some teams. I'll give you an example. Roberto De Zerbi being told in the first minute against Leeds, if he goes outside the technical area, he's going to get a yellow card. He did get a yellow card. And someone like Arteta is running up and down.
Oh, it's disgraceful what Arteta does.
Week in, week out. And, the inconsistency is just unbelievable. I think the refereeing and officiating has been the worst of the Premier League since it began in '92. And, it's been terrible. So, yes, I've seen a lot of images and I've seen a lot of videos saying or showing that the ball was in play at that point. I think if you're going to be fair and honest about it, you would agree with me.
I agree with you 100%. You mentioned Mikel Arteta in his technical area. I mean, is it still 6 yellow cards match ban? I mean, every 7th game he should be serving a suspension because he leaves his technical area so much. I think it's an absolute disgrace. The inconsistencies are an absolute disgrace as well. And I mean, this is a question to both of you because obviously everyone, no matter where you are in the Premier League, you've been affected by decisions. I think about the Kai Havertz tackle only a couple of days ago. Studs up, should have been a red card. Phil Foden against Fulham, studs up, only got a yellow card. It's these inconsistencies. But as soon as that happens to a smaller team, if that was a Burnley player doing that to Kai Havertz or to another Arsenal player, that would be a straight red card. Just as two football fans and two massive clubs as well, Premier League clubs, obviously we don't know what's going to happen with Tottenham. They might not be a Premier League club this time next week. Where do you stand on VAR? I am a firm believer that keep automated offsides, keep goal line tech, stop re-refereeing decisions and just get rid. It's gotten a bit too far in my opinion.
I think football fans across the Premier League are just fed up with VAR. It's just causing far too much controversy, and referees should be allowed to referee the game. And they're only meant to go to VAR if it's a clear and obvious error. And if you're taking 4 or 5 minutes to make a decision, that is not clear and obvious. It is spoiling the moment for many supporters in that moment where you celebrate a goal, which is part and parcel why people go to football. And then someone decides many, many miles away, another part of London, that by a hair's breadth, someone is offside. And the rule of offside is about seeking to gain advantage. I don't see how you can seek to gain advantage if like just a small part of your body was offside.
Yeah.
Sweden have taken the brave decision to move away from VR. Congratulations to them. It just isn't working. The technology, goal line technology worked extremely well, but something dramatically needs to change about VAR in the Premier League. It's not working for supporters.
Chris, do you agree?
Yeah, I completely agree with everything Mark's just said there. I completely agree. And it's not just Spurs games. I've seen really poor decisions. It's across the Premier League. Don't need to involve Chelsea games or Spurs games. It's been, games across the board throughout the whole 20 Premier League clubs. So it has been really poor, very inconsistent. The referees have been shocking. I don't think I've been at a game actually this season now where the fans aren't singing about the referee. And I think that says it all. And I'm not one to really criticise referees as well, Harry. And on our podcast, it seems like week by week we're talking more and more about the referees rather than some of the player performances. But going back to the incident, Van de Ven, if you are showing a yellow card, when was the last time you saw that happen? A referee showing a yellow card and not giving a penalty for a foul.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't name it.
I tell you what, I've always said this. If you were to ever write a book about Spurs and what happens to Tottenham, and you gave it to the book publisher, they'd say it's a bit far-fetched. But I tell you what, think of the unthinkable. It always happens to Spurs.
Yeah, it almost gets to a point where Star Wars is kind of more believable than some of the things that we have to witness with VAR and the things that clubs either do get going for them or don't get going for them. I think it's an absolute joke. Mark, we've only got a couple more minutes left, but Europe's still on the cards. You could secure it, not Champions League, of course, but you could secure it officially at the weekend. Do you want it? Kwaku Afari, a big Chelsea fan and presenter here at talkSPORT, I had a conversation with him the other day, and he said he didn't want any Europe whatsoever next season, just to focus that clean slate, new manager coming in as well.
I would happily go into Europe, whether it's the Europa League or even the Europa Conference League. If you look at sort of like, even if we end up in the Conference League, someone's already put projected pots, the 6 pots for the Conference League, and obviously Chelsea would be a seeded side. And part of being in Europe is also the experience of being in Europe as well. And you go to different places. You look at a club like Crystal Palace this year, they've had some amazing places to go. So that's part of why you actually travel out to European games as well. So if we're in the Europa League or if we're in the Conference League, I'll be quite happy, being in that competition. And if it has to be the Conference League, we've won every European trophy twice. Well, that gives us an opportunity to win that twice. And then if we've won it twice, hopefully we'll never then be in it ever again.
Chris, all eyes on the final day, mate. I mean, I think the only solace that you have at the moment is that Everton come into this, winless since the back end of March. I mean, that's the only saving grace right now. You haven't won at home since December. The drought speaks for itself at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. How do you see things going, especially with a big game in East London as well between West Ham and Leeds? Even though West Ham have been poor, that crowd will be up for it. We know that the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium will be up for it as well. Are you convinced, goal difference on your side as well, are you convinced that you will remain a Premier League club come Monday? I can't believe I'm saying that.
I can't call it, Harry. I honestly can't call it. You don't know what Spurs is going to turn up, but the only positivity that I'd hold on to is that the fact that Roberto De Zerbi has made a real difference. Thomas Frank should have gone earlier on, in my opinion, earlier on in the campaign. Then, of course, we brought Igor Tudor in. 44 days are a waste of time. And then Roberto De Zerbi's come in and he has made a difference. And I just hope that if there's any game where they're going to deliver and get us a win and 3 points, it has to be on Sunday. They have to give absolutely everything. But, do I have more faith in Spurs winning or do I have more faith in Leeds winning? As long as one of them win, we'll get over the line.
Mark, just to finish off there, mate, earlier on this week confirmed that Xabi Alonso will be the new manager of Chelsea after his stint at Real Madrid, of course, invincible at Bayer Leverkusen as well. I mean, if we're speaking, on the 20th of May, 2027, so a year to the date, what will be the story of Chelsea next season? What's your prediction?
I would like to think it'll be a top 4 finish, win the FA Cup, and if we're in Europe, win either the Europa League or the Conference League.
This episode of Settle the Score is sponsored by Sky Sports. Stream Sky Sports flexibly on Now. What you want, when you want, no fuss. Go to nowtv.com to start streaming Sky Sports today.